Hey, what's up everyone? Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye here. September 12th, 2017, Sony came out with a big announcement. I don't know how big it is to a lot of people though. A lot of people were hoping that we'd hear something about possibly a new Sony RX100 camera, the compact cameras, or an A7 III. Now that's been kind of pushed off to the end of the year, probably October or November. But right now, essentially, all we heard was the Sony RX0, their overexpensive GoPro 1-inch sensor type thing, and the RX10 Mark IV. And if you're not familiar with the RX10 line, it's basically a kind of a bridge camera, fixed lens type camera. I don't know. You can kind of see the appeal depending what the price point is. And I'll be honest with you, this is $1,700 for the RX10 Mark IV, which is pretty pricey for something like this. And the Sony RX10 Mark III has a lot of what this Mark IV has, but obviously it's now 2017. Some things have been improved a little bit. So really to start off, one of the biggest things that they've done was added phase detection autofocus to the system. The Mark III had contrast, and now this has 315 points that covers essentially 65% of the frame. And if you looked at the stuff that they had in the presentation, it covers a lot. Once again, Sony specifically said they're targeting travelers, sports photographers, and wildlife photographers and videographers with this. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say this is a video-centric camera. It does have 4K video. It does do 30 frames per second. If they were a little bit more serious about it, it probably should have 60 frames per second to really kind of stack up to what Panasonic has been doing. But I wouldn't say you're buying this for video 100%, but you're getting a 24 to 600 millimeter lens, and it's an f2.4 to a 4.4 made by Zeiss. So at your widest aperture, at your widest focal setting, you're getting 2.4. And as you get to 600 millimeter, you go to 4.4. And that's one of the biggest stresses that they were saying, that for the size of this camera, that it's palm size and that you can shoot it with one hand. While true, these types of cameras really aren't palm size per se, but it does only weigh 2 pounds. That being said, you're getting 4.5 stops of VR with this camera. Once again, it's a fixed lens, so it's not interchangeable. That lens is what you have in there. It's electronic, it zooms in and out. The other big thing is that it does 24 frames per second, and even with continuous tracking as well. So a lot of people might be intrigued with that. But once again, a lot of this stuff you saw in the Mark III, just refined a little bit. The other big thing, I guess, that would be that it's quoted as 0.03 seconds of the world's fastest autofocusing compared to 1-inch sensors. That was in little fine writing right there. So at 1-inch sensors, this is probably the world's fastest right now. If you're into the 1-inch sensors, if you're into this type of stuff, I think that's a pretty cool thing. But, you know, if there needs to be a hands-on, we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to get hands-on with it. The other one thing, so this does have a 1-inch stack sensor. Keep that in mind. So that's obviously what that is. This does have silent shooting, silent shutter. So whatever the appeal to that is with a camera like this, I still don't know about that. And the last thing is that it does have a touchscreen. And what you can actually do with this RX10 Mark IV is, as your eyes up here, you can move around the autofocusing points on the touchscreen, which I do think is a cool feature and a lot more cameras need to incorporate. With all that being said, once again, this is a $1,700 camera and should be expected to ship and order in October. So with all that being said, fixed lens cameras, they're an interesting breed. Especially this line from Sony is interesting, that they still kind of try to push this out. This is a specific camera for someone. It's the all-in-one type of thing. It's either, do I get an interchangeable lens camera and buy an all-in-one lens, or do I get this type of camera that's kind of an all-in-one, but you're really kind of stuck there. You can't really do much with it. If you own the RX10 Mark II, Mark III, please let me know below. What was the allure to you? To me, I don't find the allure 100%. But I do get it if someone wants that all-in-one. You get that 600 millimeters f4.4 to shoot the moon. So let me know your thoughts down below. Is this an interesting type of camera? Do you like these bridge type of cameras, these hybrids, all-in-ones? Or do you kind of think that it's a little meh? For $1,800 though, you're asking a lot of coin for something that's not 100% needed. Just saying. Let me know your thoughts about this camera. This is the new one right here. Once again, it's palm size.